Assalamu alaikum viewers, this is Star Kasana. Uh, Today we are here with one of our own journalists in Turkey, Dilara Hamit, and we are going to discuss the latest updates about the earthquakes in Turkey and Syrian region. Dilara, as you know, is originally from Pakistan, but she's born and raised in Turkey. So I'm very honored and pleased to have Dilara back on. Thank you very much, Dilara. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamualaikum. How's it going, Swarby?
Good, Alhamdulillah. But you see, on behalf of my own nation, my own diaspora, and on my behalf of my own family, please accept our condolences and heartfelt condolences, actually, on the shattering earthquake losses in Turkey and Syria. It's
Thank you
really,
so
really
much.
heartbroken. We are as a community, we are heartbroken, and as a human being, it's really, whenever we see those images, it's really shattering. So let me tell you, the viewers, that Dilara has been in the epicenter of that whole earthquake region, which is called Karamanmas. And she was there, she was reporting from there, and she actually was, you know, witnessing everything. And before I ask her the questions, I was just reading something from different agencies, and the death toll from earthquake, toll has gone past 40,000. This is unbelievable.
Uh,
Turkish
Turkey
authorities,
and
yeah,
Syria,
yeah, Turkish and
40,000.
40,000. And Turkish authorities say that 35,418 people have been killed, and in Syria, 5,800 people. Um, and then more than 8,000 people have been pulled out alive from the rubble in Turkey. And the UN estimates up to 5.3 million people in Syria may be homeless. So it's a huge catastrophe. So, what did you see, Dilara, when you were there?
So, to basically give like a basic information about the area, so I was at the epicenter of the earthquake. This is Kahramanmaraş. It
Uh-huh.
was hit by two separate back-to-back earthquakes. One was from the magnitude, one had the magnitude of 7.8, and
Mhm.
the other one had a 7.5 magnitude, and there were about 400 plus aftershocks.
And we are showing your picture. You were right there in the middle of everything.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
was there on the first day. I was the first international correspondent to arrive to the region on the first night. So,
Oh.
uh, the first night I would say was the most shocking one because, okay, so this is southeastern Turkey.
Hmm.
This is not Istanbul, this is not Izmir, this is not Ankara.
Right.
It's not as developed as the bigger cities, right?
Right.
So, but it is a huge region. It's about 10 provinces. So when my friends from other countries ask how big the region is, I would
Mm.
probably say I would probably say it's something from Paris to Amsterdam. It's a huge
Oh.
region,
Mm.
and 13 million people were affected.
My goodness.
So, um, it's very devastating. There were 35,000 people who were dead in the region, and this is just after a week, and people are still continuing their rescue efforts.
Yeah. Yeah. So when went there on the first day,
Hmm.
people are still stuck inside the buildings, and maybe crying, and it must be very, very, very devastating for you personally as well.
So the first day, honestly, it was I was in shock. This was the first time I was in a
Hmm.
disaster region. I was reporting from a disaster region, and I was there with a photojournalist from my agency, my
Hmm.
cameraman, and a driver. And my photojournalist is 42 years old. He's been doing this job for 20 years, and the first thing he told me was he has never seen anything like this before in a war zone or a disaster region. So, um, no one is exaggerating when they say they've seen nothing like this
Yeah.
because the region is too big. and there were too many people who were affected. And in Kahramanmaraş, there was no single apartment left that was available to go back in. When I first went there, there was no electricity, the
Oh my
waters were
God.
shut, and aid wasn't there because I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know how this happened, but everything came like at a terrible timing. There was a snowstorm across the country.
Oh my
The
goodness.
Due to the snowstorm, flights all around Turkey was cancelled, right? So
Yeah.
no aid arrived to the region until the second day, I would say, and at night on the second day. So people were stuck under the rubble. People were stuck under the debris for days,
Hmm.
waiting for help, waiting for rescue teams.
How far is this region from Ankara? How long you
Normally,
drove?
yeah, normally it's 6 to 7 hours of driving, but as I
Hmm.
told you, there was a snowstorm. It took us 14 hours to get there.
Oh my
14
God.
hours. And there were so many accidents happening on the street because there was a snowstorm. And
Hmm.
it was very, very, very hard to manage the roads.
So, Dilara, when you went there, did you see some, bodies there lying on the roads and stuff like that, or people were helping themselves with, or there was nobody there to help them? There was no food, as you said. There was no water. So, how were they coping with it?
It was very challenging. They had to cut the water because they were scared the water would mix with the drinking water, and
Hmm.
that would cause a lot of sicknesses. That would cause a lot, like people would get sick if that kind of thing happened, right? So they
Yeah.
had to cut water for a while. Electricity, unfortunately, was there was a power cut after the earthquake, so I think I can't be sure, but on the second or third day, we had electricity properly across the
Hmm.
city. And back to your question, unfortunately, death was part of that scene.
Oh my.
So I personally saw a lot of corpse coming out of the buildings,
Hmm.
but what shook me was on my fifth or sixth day, it was so normal for bags, like
Yeah. Yeah. Body bags.
body bags, to lay around the city, and people would eat around those body bags, right?
Oh my
Because
goodness.
it was too normal. It was part of that life at that moment, and unfortunately, there were mass graves
Yeah.
at that point. People had to go to those mass graves to find their loved ones.
Yeah.
This is a
Must
very
must
tragic
must be
photo.
must be very hard and for you personally because you're saying that it was your first time in the disaster zone. So it must have taken some toll on your health as well.
Um, well, us journalists were trained mentally, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, um, I I don't, I'm not going to brag about it. It's nothing to be bragged, but we have to be professional in that
Mm.
scene, like doctors.
Right, right, right.
Like rescue teams. If we don't act professional, we cannot do our jobs.
Yeah.
We cannot report to people. We cannot tell them what's happening in that scene. If I
Mm.
start bursting and crying in that scene,
Yeah.
uh, I cannot do my job there. I have to be professional. But after getting back to Ankara, it did hit me hard.
Mm. Absolutely, absolutely. And what day the relief effort started coming in from Turkey, inside the Turkey, and then international effort was also there.
So, so rescue teams did start to come on the first day,
Hmm.
but obviously, as I told you, the weather was not
Yeah.
suitable, so it took them too much time to get there. I think on the first day there were not enough rescue teams. On the second day, Turkish rescue teams did start to come more, but still not everywhere. So I'm telling you that it's 10 provinces were affected. So
No.
not enough rescue teams were able to get there at time, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Um, so on the second and third day, Turkish rescue teams were on the region, but by the fourth, fifth, until now, rescue teams from all over the world, around 10,000 foreign rescue teams,
Mm.
are dispatched to the region from over 80 from 82 countries, and
Yeah.
100 countries have said they would support Turkey financially.
Okay. And any updates from Syrian affected areas also?
So Turkey is trying to put all its efforts to open its borders with
Hmm.
Syria. One of the border is open. Aid is flowing to Syria from Turkey over Turkey. But the Turkish Foreign Minister Çavuşoğlu has recently reported that they're working on two more border gates so that aid would flow into the region. Of course, these people were already hit by a war for
Yes.
more than a decade. Many
Yeah.
of them had to flee their
Mm.
country, and now some of them were back, and they were unfortunately hit by this disaster.
Earthquake. Yeah, yeah. So there are a lot of Pakistani organizations are also there, and I know for the fact that there are a lot of people who are trying to donate. Do you have any information how people can donate for this catastrophe? Um, and I know for the fact that there are a lot of international organizations which I know they have been also collecting funds to support this huge effort.
Mhm. Uh, I mean, I would probably the safest one would be Turkish Red Crescent
Hmm.
and AFAD. It's the Disaster Emergency Management Presidency.
Right, and these are the small tents which Afad has created there, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
people cannot go back to their houses, right? Most of
yeah,
them had to evacuate the city, but there are obviously some people who cannot do that.
yeah.
And tents are set for these people. Most of them had to sleep in their cars for, I would say, for the first 3 to 4 days.
I think
Still, some of
you
them
slept
do.
you slept in the car as well, right?
I slept in a car for a week. I wasn't able to shower. I
Yeah,
wasn't able to sleep. We didn't have proper food.
yeah.
Um, but still, I
Must be
cannot
very tough.
complain.
Must be very
It
tough.
it's very challenging,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
And tell us, you rescued a cat. What was the that story all about?
Oh
Let
yeah,
me
so
let me show the people
yeah,
that.
this one. So after our first night, so the toilet is also something that is challenging to find in
Yeah,
that region, right? So
right.
after the earthquake, most people would go to mosques,
Yeah.
or you had to go to the nature. And we had parked our car outside this like forest place,
Hmm. Right,
and I was looking to go to a toilet because my crew is full of guys, and I was trying to make my way, like
right.
I was
Away from them.
walking.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was 7 a.m. in the morning, and I was trying to find a proper spot, and I heard this cat screaming. It was so cold, you cannot like it's unimaginable. The weather was so cold. It was, I think, like -10 degrees in the
Oh
morning.
my goodness.
And this poor cat was screaming, and there were rubbles, and I was trying to find him. And finally I found him. He couldn't move. His eyebrows were frozen, his paws were frozen. I didn't know what to do with him, but like instantly, I took him with me. I didn't think I was living in a car. I didn't think I didn't have a house. I just took him with me. I took him to the car. We slept together in the car for 3 days.
Oh my goodness.
And
I
then
see.
I found a way to get him back to Ankara, and now he's in Ankara. He has a house. He has a family, and I'm happy for him.
Oh, he's still with you?
No, my friend took him.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah,
And so it's at least you saved one life.
yeah.
Okay,
Thankfully.
so Alhamdulillah. Now coming back to the relief effort, uh, tell us right now when you left the area, did you see the relief effort in its full gear?
hmm So there were rescue teams from all over the world. I did meet a couple of them from the UAE,
Uh,
Israel,
mhm.
Azerbaijan, Iraq, Taiwan. These were the ones I met,
This
but
good
I
good to
know,
see Israelis there too, right?
of course, Israel had dispatched around 150 rescue teams.
Mm,
They were incredible. They helped Turkey with around 150 tons of aid.
good,
They opened a regional field hospital. Um, Israel honestly surprised me too, but they did help Turkey immensely.
very nice, very nice. And as a matter of fact, I heard some from Turkish media that there's a Pakistani who went to the Turkish embassy in Washington, and he donated $30 million without naming his identity and disclosing his identity. So I think it was huge effort individually, but I
Mhm.
actually wanted to let people know that, you see, this is how you can contribute for this cause, and you must come up and donate for these people who are affected by this devastating earthquake. And people like him, I don't know who he is, but as Dilara is saying, that more than 100 countries are committed to financially support this effort. One must do everything whatever is possible for you, right, Dilara?
We always talk about Pakistani-Turkish friendship. This goes back in history. We always hear how Pakistani grandmas helped Turkey in their wars. We always see Turkish soldiers, Turkish rescue teams going to Pakistan whenever
Yes,
a disaster happens. So no country like Turkey and Pakistan could help each other. So, of
absolutely,
course, I think everyone should put some effort, like no matter how much it is, because
absolutely.
it's going to help the slightest bit, right?
Absolutely, Dilara. Thank you very much for your time. And I think whenever you are done with it, and maybe we can have another show on the Turkish politics and other political issues, international issues, so that we can start our previous series which we had a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
So we can have more programs on that too, right?
inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you very much for your time and good luck.
Thank you
Assalamu
for
alaikum.
having me.
Assalamu alaikum.